G'day, mate. Welcome to Friday Facts 320. We've got colour correction. I've got a colour corrected mojo. Hey, mate.
What do you mean color corrected? You're a color corrected.
I think so far, at least our language is corrected, at least as far as the Friday Facts are concerned. Other videos maybe not so, but yeah. Anyway.
Moving swiftly along.
Yeah. This one is... It's not as controversial as bots versus belts, but looking through the forums and looking through Reddit, it sort of is and it sort of isn't. So the prelude. Factorio is still not finished, we know. It's getting close to version 1.
It's worrying that they're talking about that again.
Maybe it's getting close to version 1. I don't know. As far as we know, there's still... The character GUI is going to be worked on. The blueprint library is going to be worked on. There's a lot of GUI tasks still to be done, which are all the easy ones. That's why they've been left to the end. So, it should happen any day now. But Albert has been here pretty much since the start. He actually linked in this post to Friday Facts 69, which was his first ever Friday Facts. So he's been here basically forever. And he's wanted to do some post-production work on all the graphics. And he didn't want to tweak with it earlier because he was afraid he was going to break things. But now they're sort of in the end game. He wants to start looking at the graphics and how dark the game is, or if you listen to a Mojo, how brown the game is.
Well, it's generally known as the brown game in wider circles.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I'd like a bit more grey, a little bit less brown, but it's been a very brown and dark game up until now.
Very monochromatic experience.
Yeah, which we'll get to later, but they're doing a few things. So the current image is the dark. It's the current Factorio we're looking at, and they're going through and they're adding a. It's a lookup table, I believe. Yeah, a lookup table to do a pass over the game and sort of brighten up the game. And, it makes everything maybe a little bit too bright. In fact, I'm not entirely a fan of everything. I'll put it that way.
The way I see it, it's more like... what's that program? SweetFX used to be. I don't remember what it's called now. It was a thing where you could add post-processing DX9 filters to game, and so you could tweak brightness, contrast, saturation, and that's sort of what's going on here. Only much more sophisticated. It's not just dumb DX9.
No, they're applying some fairly sophisticated post-processing to the game. Which shouldn't have an impact. Shouldn't have an impact on your graphics card or the UPS of the game. So that's the first thing.
No, these things don't have any graphical impact. These are these filters. Unless you've got a really, really terrible graphics card, in which case it's already bottlenecked elsewhere.
Yeah.
Doing the actual rendering and memory process.
So, I guess I should cover what I don't like. So I sort of like the overall look and brightness and vitality of the new graphics, which aren't in yet. They are coming soon. They have said it will be coming soon, which I've had some people in my Discord predict like the end of the week, because the last time they said Friday Facts and coming soon, it came out like 2 days later. But I don't know. I don't like the medium power poles. I like the duller color. I really wish they'd used it to highlight the important parts of the game. So, inserters, assemblers, refineries, not so much the utility parts of the game. So, like power poles, pipes, belts to a certain extent. I really wish they'd left them that duller color. Like Roboport, same story, just left them dull because they're a utility part. They're not something that you ever worry about after you put them down once. Lights, the same story. I wouldn't bother running the filter over the lights. Just leave them a little bit duller, a little bit darker, so they can be forgotten a little bit after you first place them down.
See, I don't think that would really look that good because it would, if anything, look incredibly jarring. because you'd have some machines which are really bright and some which are really dark.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think I'd have to see it to know whether it's a good idea or not. And look, I know the devs have the power, and they've probably done this, and they've probably gone through and looked at a couple of different iterations, but they didn't. They haven't said any of that in the Friday Facts, so I don't know if they've even looked at some of the concepts and some of the ideas that different people, both on the forums and in Reddit, have come up with. So this was one of those things that I wanted to voice. Also, I'm not sure why the lights have 6 written on them.
They've always had 6.
Yeah, it's just more prominent now.
Yeah, because there's actual contrast that lets you see it.
I know.
It's actually interesting too. I was thinking about it that I've seen a few other games discuss lighting and visuals late. So it's interesting that now Factorio is on that too.
Yeah, I think it's just come down to like monitors have got bigger and better and brighter, and that's what it really I think comes down to. Because
And it really shows difference.
no, it does, and like the way I'm set up currently, I've got a 32-inch brand new monitor, a 27-inch brand new monitor, a 22-inch 10-year-old monitor, and a 17-inch 4x3 14-year-old monitor. And when looking at things on different screens, there is a massive difference between going from the very, very old to the very, very new, in just brightness, saturation, just overall graphics quality. There is a big difference, and I think it's now that monitors have got more
Brighter and more better.
yeah, brighter and better and calibrated. That's the word, calibrated.
Yes, and more accurate.
Yeah.
LCDs are notoriously bad still, even today.
Oh,
They're getting good. Finally, it's taken a decade.
They're getting better. I do remember the old CRTs were miles ahead of what an LCD was, but you know, LCDs were at least not. Well, they were portable, and you didn't have to reinforce your table if you wanted to go up to a 21-inch or larger version.
Yeah.
So
CRT, like in the professional world, CRTs were still like in terms of accuracy dominating up until last I heard of it, like even 6 years ago, I think.
I was
the
going
last
with
I was
8.
hearing of it.
Yeah, 8 years ago, I would have said CRTs were still the king. But maybe it's less. I don't know.
Yeah, somewhere around 2012, 2013, they sort of started falling by the side, and then LCD equivalents were finally taken.
Yeah, and you were paying a premium. You were paying a very large premium to have a LCD that was good for graphics editing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they have done a lot of changes. V was individually fixing the broken sprites and icons in order to keep the consistency with the new context. So this is why it's not out yet. There's still some tweaks need to be done. Also, it's nice that they tell us about these things in the Friday Facts and then sort of give us a little bit of a chance to give our opinions, because there is a lot of opinions, and we'll get to some of those as we go on. So,
and they're all wrong.
They're not all wrong. They're not all wrong. So they have also done the terrain as well, and the terrain is definitely more green, definitely less grey. And funnily enough, one of the things I actually really, really liked is the trees are different colours. So we've got the trees on the right, which are all pretty much, I'd say, standard trees, but we do have some blue trees and some purple trees, and I do like that on the alien planet.
There's more variety.
Yeah, they've mentioned the Alien Biomes mod, which I have to admit we've played with a couple of times, and they're very, very interesting. Because you're on an alien planet, like nothing is guaranteed. You want to have pink trees, go for it. Nothing's stopping you. Purple, go for it.
Oh, we have both of those here already.
I don't see any pink trees. Oh, I take that back. There are pink trees. Yep. I say go for more. I'd like to see less green trees and more of some of the other interesting colors. But yeah, I love the terrain. I really, really love the terrain. I'm sort of curious what ore looks like, because we don't have... We've got coal, which is coal. But I'm curious, like, uranium's the one I really want to see what it looks like. So we got another bit of the factory, and desert looks more... I guess deserty. Yep. One thing that a lot of people have said is they want to know if the red desert is actually red now. Because
you can actually see that darker one, the really sort of orange one, that's Red Desert.
That's
From
Red
memory.
Desert, is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's old Red Desert.
Because we
But it's
had,
actually interesting because that actually looks a lot more like 15 did.
well, we had Red Desert make an edition for like one or two versions in, was
Yeah,
it
15,
16?
16.
I thought it was 16 that they released it, then pulled it back like two versions later, or broke it, one of the two.
I was in 15.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure it was in 16 too, and then it got recolored
yeah,
to Yellow Desert.
yeah. I like Red Desert. I like Red Deserts. So
Well,
lots of
we were
people,
all highly anticipating Red Desert,
yeah.
and it didn't happen.
Lots of people have also commented about the loss of, I don't know, the boxes I was talking about, Mojo. The loss of detail, the loss of
Well, they're about as detailed. They're actually gained detail with the film.
it's the loss of the beaten up look, I guess. So we've got the wooden box on my screen on the right hand side, which is the old one compared to the new one on the left, and a lot of people have complained that it looks less beaten up. It looks like less aged.
It looks brand new.
It does look brand new.
It's funny because I don't see it because I know it's just a post-processing filter. The graphic isn't actually changing.
No. The graphic
It's
is
just
not changing. That's the number one key here. Nothing is physically changing. They're not going through all the graphics and tweaking them. They're not giving you a whole new set of graphics you've got to download with version 1785 or whatever version we're up to now. It's a whole bunch of new assets you have to download. It's literally a filter over the top of everything.
Yeah, and it's just your perception is changing because of the color. Because of the way your eyes work. Like even you actually look at the bushes and they're completely flat in the old look.
In the old look, but in the new look, they definitely look like more three-dimensional, a bit more alive.
Yeah, and there's more detail to them. And I suspect that actually is also swaying or biasing people's perception of it too, because the stuff around them is changing too.
Yes.
Eyes are very heavily influenced by what's around, what it sees around something.
Yeah, rather than an individual item that you're looking at. Yeah. So, on to the next one. We're also touching the map colors as well, and this was a big change, and it's one I have to say I love. I don't think anyone's complaining about this. The fact that, number one, you can actually see where the hell the trees are on the map.
Yeah, that's something we haven't been able to see for a long time. This is actually very much like 14, 15.
It is. Back in the old days, it used to be a lot more vibrant. You can hit, well, you could generate a map, then reveal out the area, then bring up map view and sort of guess what was going to be around you. Nowadays, you might decide to run a train line, a straight line, and then suddenly find out there's a forest in the way that you couldn't see on the minimap because the green blended in with the green.
Yeah, and everything was just all the same shades of nothing.
Yeah. So the minimap is a big difference, and it's one I'm more than welcome to see. It's a long time coming. One question did come up is the bottom. If you run the line up to the right hand side of the stone, there is, on the old version, you can see there's two different colors in that desert. In the new version, there's only one color of that desert. I don't know what the story is there.
Which one?
So the minimap view.
Yeah.
Stone, if you line up the right hand side, the marker with the right hand side of stone, and down below that in the desert, there's two different deserts in the old version, and there's only one in the new version, the dark brown.
Okay, yeah, I think I see it.
Yeah, so I don't know what the story is there. Same with if you keep going over, just past the biter bases. In the old version, there's two different versions of sand when they meet the water. In the new version, there's only one. So there is probably still some tweaks to be done. But
Maybe.
overall,
Actually, the one at the stone looks like cliffs.
No, below the stone. So below the stone in the desert, where the desert meets the trees.
The desert meets the trees. Oh, further down.
Yeah, further down. You can see the dark brown. In the old version, there's two different versions of dark brown down there. In the new version, there's one dark brown. So, and yeah, same with between the biter bases and the water. There's a change there in the old version that isn't in the new version, which is just two different types of sand. I already know what it is, but I don't know. Maybe it should be more clear. Maybe it's something that they've realized in the old version that sand. I think it's Sand Tile 1 and Sand Tile 2. I can't remember what they're exactly called, but they have.
I wonder if they're avoiding making avoiding distinguishing between.
Between Sand 1 and Sand 2. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably that's what it is. This is getting towards the final passes. This is when they go through, they do a final bug check, somebody goes and looks over everything, preferably with a fresh set of eyes, and goes, why is that written that way? And somebody probably goes, oh, it was written this way because of this reason, and they're like, that sounded great at the time, but now it sounds stupid, let's fix it. Minimap is a big one. I really, really can't wait to play on a new game with a new minimap, and be able to not run a train track through a forest.
And not be able to see anything on the minimap because it's red.
Yeah. And they've also tweaked the night as well. So thanks to Pista and Waybags, Pazilla, that's it. See, it's late already. And Waybags, they can use lookup tables to dynamically modify the colors. Instead of playing with the alpha channel of a solid black layer on top of the game, we can now gradually move to different color palette for the night with more control. So the colors are losing the saturation, becoming more blue and cold. This is important because of the annoying darkness the game comes from this black layer. So me and Mojo, obviously both being streamers, we both know that whenever you start a new series or anything, you pretty much need to get lights running as fast as possible, and night vision is like right afterwards.
Or Afraid of the Dark mod.
Or Afraid of the Dark mod. Personal request I'd like to throw out there for any devs happen to be watching. If you guys can bury somewhere into the options somewhere where I can tick a button and have Afraid of the Dark or something else like magically installed in the Factorio base game that only shows up on my monitor, that would be awesome just for us streamers. It doesn't have to be even be easy to be found. But I gotta say, as we're getting close to version 1, and I can see
not bloody likely.
Well, it's getting closer to version 1, and I can see this game being one of those ones that when version 1 comes out, it's going to take off as far as Twitch and YouTube and everything else are concerned. I'd like to see it buried in there for all the other streamers that are going to have probably similar complaints. But yeah, in the old version, we had a very dark layer, and now we have a very blue layer. Which
tasty blue.
Yeah, look, I've got to admit, when you wander outside like late at night, 2 a.m, and you walk down the street or look across the road or wherever it happens to be, everything is blue-ish. This is much more realistic. And I have had a lot of people now ask, or I saw on the forums, that can we have, because it's now all using lookup tables, when we get night vision, can we have a proper like grayscale? Like, because at the moment the grayscale they have at the edge is like it literally looks like halfway between the current dark alpha channel and the blue version that we've got coming. It sort of looks like that towards the edges. I'd like to actually see a proper grayscale where everything towards the edge of the screen is just really grey and boring and hard to see. But that's sort of the point because it's night vision.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're still experimenting. They're still playing with the day-night cycles. They also have to touch the map colors for some missing detail and fine-tuning. Possibly there's an entity that's not in the best shape with these new color palettes and maybe some tweaking in the terrain. They feel confident and they're happy with it, and they're hoping that we see it the same way. So, with that part out of the way, I've made my comments about I'd like darker power poles. I'd like the unimportant parts of the factory not to be run by this filter. But I have seen many complaints. I'm going all the way back up to the assemblers because they're probably the best example. So the assemblers have these steel plates that have been riveted on the outside. And now, because we're all on lookup tables, I've seen a lot of people make comment like, can we put things down nice and shiny? And then as they run, given age, pick an arbitrary number for age, because I'm sure Factorio tracks just about every number in the game. Can they have a filter applied to just one building that it slowly greys over time as it gets covered in soot and dirt and muck and all that sort of stuff?
Could do it per items crafted, because it does track how many items are being crafted.
So the more assemblers you craft, the more...
So the more products and assemblers finishes, the more dirty.
Oh, that's a good way of tracking it. I hadn't even thought of that because that number's definitely already tracked. So if you have the classic example would be your copper cable machines because they do billions of crafts if you let them go long enough, and gear machines as well. You could have some very dirty, dusty machines given enough time. Because that was another thing. Like the assemblers, now that they've been brightened, they sort of jar a little bit with the ground because they're a little bit too bright and a little bit too shiny and new.
I still think these images are hand assembled. I don't think they're game images.
I don't know. I've been looking for flaws and I thought I found a few, and Mojo proved me wrong on all counts. So
the only thing that proves that it could be is the medium power poles are the original one, which are not the ones in game. They're the source ones. They're not downsampled.
Well, okay. First image, medium power pole, bottom left-hand corner. There's an inserter reaching through the power pole. Now, is that the behavior in-game?
Kinda.
The answer is quite possibly.
I mean, there's one on the right-hand side, and there's a yellow inserter doing the same thing.
Is there? Oh, there is too.
Because the actual arm of the inserter is on a different sprite layer to the base.
Yeah.
Or a different render layer.
Possibly. Yeah. Yeah, I now want to put power poles in front of all my inserters just for the lols and the memes.
Yeah, the medium power poles not being really pixelated is the only giveaway for me.
Yeah. I can't tell. I unfortunately don't play Factorio zoomed in enough, paying enough attention to the graphics. Normally I'm running away from biters or my nuke that I just happen to fire far too close to where I'm standing. So yeah, a lot of people could make comments about, like, can we just add a dirty, dusty layer around assemblers as they sit there for longer and longer, which I really like the idea of. The other number one complaint that I saw a lot of people have, and I have to agree because Factorio is one of those games, I'm sure even Mojo, even however many years in a Factorio you're in, can probably agree that it's one of those games you can sit down and start playing and then lose track of day, time, night, and day. And I think a lot of that has to do with how dull the game is. It's not super bright. It's not a game that you get up at 4 a.m. and suddenly realize, oh crap, it's pitch black everywhere, and my eyes hurt because I've been staring at a bright monitor for the last 12 hours straight. And I've got to say, I don't play bright games at 4 a.m. If I wake up at 4 a.m., I'm looking for the dullest, darkest, gringiest game there is, because they're the ones I want to play at 4 a.m. when I've woken up, because it's dark and my eyes don't like bright lights. So maybe it'll take away from the Factorio addiction, which I don't personally think is a good thing.
What is their argument again?
That the new colors are going to be that much brighter, so you won't get lost in the darkness that is Factorio, because you're going to have a certain amount of eye strain over extended playthroughs.
So less eye strain. But so you get less eye strain by sticking to the old way.
Yep.
Because you're incapable of being an adult and being responsible.
Well, you won't. There's less chance. Logic. Yeah, less chance you're going to get lost in the game. I think it's probably the best way of putting it. And suffer that Factorio addiction where you lose 12 hours into the game because you've now got this eye strain that you have to deal with from bright, shiny graphics. I think my argument to that is turn down the brightness of your monitor.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well.
I do know...
That was my other argument. It's like, just turn it down. It's not hard.
Well... Okay, I used CRTs for years. Turning down the brightness was really easy. There was a knob on the front. You slid it one way, it got darker. You slid it the other way, it got brighter. LCDs are a little bit more involved now, and some of them have nice, easy menus to get to. I know one of the ones in front of me has a menu that is absolute nightmare, and turning down the brightness or the contrast or anything is like a 10-minute job, so it never got adjusted.
The other thing is some CRTs would just... I think I had one at one point which would dim over You used to have to just punch it with your fist every now and then to make it bright again.
I think that had more to do with age than anything else, Mojo. I'm pretty sure I had a monitor the same, or I had to punch it to get it to work to start with, and then when it was running, it kept running fine. It was one of those monitors you just never turn off. So, yeah, there's a lot of updates. Well, there's a lot of things coming. We do have a post from V down the bottom because by changing the colors of all the game's graphics, most mods are going to look out of place. They've used scripts to apply the lookup tables to most of the images, and once that script is ready for mod authors to clone or download here. So they are being nice and saying, hey, mod authors, we're about to change all the base graphics. If you need help, here is how you do it. And if you get in trouble, you can message me on Discord, and I'll be happy to give you a hand. I feel for V, who's probably got several hundred messages already, and probably going to have a lot more, and they're going to vary in skill levels a whole lot, from how do I do it to walk me through it step by step by step for a mod that probably has no graphics in it whatsoever. So yeah, it's an interesting update. It's coming soon.
TM?
Not Blizzard soon.
Like version 15?
Not,
or soon like version 16?
Well,
or actually soon?
Well, it's not Blizzard soon. It's Woob soon. So, you know, who knows?
6 months to 1 year.
well, the press release went out about Diablo 4, and that's coming soon. Yeah, 5 years. So I don't know. I actually think we'll see this probably within 2 weeks. I think they're going to do a little bit of tweaking. They're going to give mods a little bit of time to update. And I figure we're going to see it in 2 weeks. Whether I'm going to like it or not when I actually get in game, I don't know. That's going to be really the hardest thing. The funny thing is, in looking through this Friday Facts, there is a bunch of people that actually make mods that make the game look darker and dingier, more like version 14. Actually,
oh dear,
if we go down to Friday Facts 69, which they linked to, this is the old version 12? Version 11. Which
one?
Friday Facts 69.
Oh yeah, that's 2015, which would be either version 10 or 11.
It's a version 11. All right. So yeah, it was a little bit darker and dankier back then. Never know. Maybe some of these mods that make the game more darkish, dankish. It's funny. In Friday Facts 69, they actually explicitly state they're not steampunk, they're not diesel punk, they're Factorio punk, and that's their inspiration for the game graphics. So, yeah,
it might be version 10.
No, I looked it up. It's 11.
No, it is actually version 11.
It is 11. Yep. So, yeah, you know, it's come a long way. There's version 1 up here, or version with
October 2014. That's
no, March 2012 graphics.
That's the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
That's the Warcraft 2 peasant.
Yes, I think it is.
Yeah, that's a Warcraft 2 peasant.
Yeah. It's come a long way, and like Factorio has grown a lot. It's come so far, and
gone are the days when all of the player buildings were dark blue.
Yep.
On the minimap.
Yep.
I don't miss those.
Or actually, speaking of things that have changed colors, I think we can now, especially the new color gradient, probably not. Everybody can now agree that the green assemblers are actually green.
That is true, actually, because they actually have some color in them.
Yeah. So that argument
they're
is
actually
finally
green. They're not yellow anymore.
It's finally dead. They're actually green, because that's been a long going debate. Because it's
what color are they?
In the crafting menu, they're yellow, but on the ground, they've always looked a bit more green than yellow.
I've always seen them as green.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's the note we leave the Friday Facts on. So
pretty much.
Thank you guys.
Probably the last note I'll say is that if you don't like games coming, like because I was saying before, games become a few other games have been talking about it. This is the new trend: is brightening up games in general.
Yeah.
And moving away from the really bland Skyrim look. Assassin's Creed look.
I don't know if I'm for it. I don't know. I've been playing games for like 20 plus years now, and I've got used to the I've got used to the. Not that I've ever played in a basement, because basements are really uncommon in Australia, but I have got used to the playing games with all the blinds shut. Like, you're not sure whether it's day or night at any time, and playing games till like 5 a.m. I have got used to that. I have really enjoyed playing games, dark games, late at night. I don't boot bright, shiny games at 5 a.m., and I think that's really my biggest concern. Like, I've just started playing Autonauts, which is bright and shiny, and oh my god, I do not.
Yeah, that's the new trend.
Yep, I don't boot up those sort of games after dark. It's too much for me. Either that, or I'm going to have to get really good at lowering the brightness on the monitor. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I think that's it. Yes, Mojo?
That's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you guys for watching as always, and we'll see you guys next week, hopefully, for Friday Facts 321. All right, bye.
Bye bye.